Here, but you're back.
Hey, gang. Hi. Here it is Monday night again, and welcome back to the Tilt Gang, Total Inspired Living Tribe. I'm Nettie Estes, and we come to you every single Monday night in the hopes that we can bring you value and we can bring you inspiration and motivation to get you through the next week at whatever it is that you're working on, whatever it is that you're doing. We love doing these hangouts for you, and we love it more that you show up to see us. That's really special. So thank you again for coming and jumping on board again tonight. And if you're out there, say hi to us. The chat rolling along. If you're new here, please introduce yourself. You're going to find that everybody responds to you, and you're also going to find that most of the people that are watching are also going to respond to you. So it's just a wonderful group that we've gotten together here, and we're getting more and more and more all the time. So what we want to bring you is the nuggets that you need to help encourage you. And we do this for the entrepreneur, the doer and the dreamer and the entrepreneur. We do it every single week, and we love it. So without further ado, we're going to get on. We're going to get talking about what's going on tonight. And the topic tonight is called How to Get Over Your Own BS Already. Okay? I mean, I think we all carry that around. And it can be tremendously difficult to let it go. But I'm going to tell you about something that happened just a few days ago in my house. It was weird. A lot of things that happen in my house are weird, but anyways, I'll tell you a story about this one. So anyways, it was just a beautiful day. This is about a week ago now, and it was just a beautiful day. It hadn't gotten really hot yet outside, but it was nice enough that I was out having my morning coffee, and I was reading. And I decided I came in, I think I came in making myself another cup of coffee. Anyways, when I got in, I didn't close the screen door or the patio door. It was beautiful. The flies weren't out or anything. The dogs were running in and out. And I just sat down in the living room with my coffee, and I started to read again. And the next thing I knew, I had a bird that flew in. Now, I'd seen them come into our garage before, but I had never seen them come in there. And well, you can imagine it was Freakazoid City, because I'm swatting at it, and it's fluttering around, it's bouncing off walls, it's bouncing off the lampshades, the dogs are going crazy, papers are flying, and I'm at the door, and I got my sandal up in the air, and I'm trying to swoop it and get out. And fortunately, I just knew its little birdie heart couldn't take much more, and out the door it went. And I closed the screen. And I thought to myself, what must have went through that poor thing's head while it was flying around? You know, it's going crazy in our house, and it's looking, and it's going, I can see the sky out there, I can see it, and I know if I just fly fast and I fly hard, I can get out there. Because it knew that on the other side of all of this fear was this freedom. Once he got outside, it was going to be freedom. And I thought to myself, that's how a lot of us just live our lives, isn't it? I mean, we know what we want. We kill ourselves doing it, but nothing works. Nothing changes. And I think what we have to do is we need to look at things differently. Like, just take it down a level. Just take it down. Because we're so afraid we're not doing the right thing, just like the bird was doing, and just take it down and stop and observe. And if we just get ourselves looking at things differently, well, you'll see that crazy lady over there in her house coat with her sandal flapping, here's the door, come on, fly through it, just go through it. It's crazy as humans, the drama that we put on ourselves, and the stories that we tell ourselves. We tell ourselves that I can't afford this. I'm not good enough. I can't quit my job. I'm too lazy. What will people think of me? And all these stories that we hang on to, they're like in this lifeboat, and we're just clinging onto the lifeboat for dear life. And you know what it is? It's just a bunch of doo-doo in that boat. It's just we're hanging on to something that isn't even credible. It's a bunch of crap. BS, to put it bluntly. And we're afraid to let go of that. So, you know, I want to ask you something. Have you ever walked down a street that maybe you walked down a street 100, maybe 1,000 times? I do this all the time when I walk the dogs. I go down the same street and out into the woods and back out of the woods and down the street again. I've maybe walked that road 2,500 times since we've lived here. But do you ever do it and notice anything different on that street? Like, does anything ever just go, oh, I never noticed that before? Or do you ever go out for lunch with somebody and maybe just sit across the table listening to them as they talk, and suddenly you notice a different color in their eyes, or you notice the color of their eyes? You think to yourself, I never noticed that before. So, you know, all those feelings, I mean, that awareness that you just saw there, it's always been there. It's always been there. You just haven't, you know, focused on it. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. You've never focused on what you're looking for strongly enough. Okay, so here's a test that I want to give you, and I want you to do it all, right? All of you out there, I want you to do it right now. So right now, I want you to look around the room that you're in, wherever you're at, and just look for things that are red. Concentrate on what is red. You know, look it around, scan it over. Maybe it's books, maybe it's a thermometer, maybe it's paper. Red. Keep that in your mind. You're looking for things that are red, and keep them going in your mind. Like, try and think of everything that you see that is red in that room. Just take a few more seconds and do it. Okay, now I want you to come back and I want you to look at me. And I want you to think of everything that was yellow in that room. You can't do it, can you? Because you were so focused on red that you couldn't see the yellow. And that's what happens. That's what I'm going to tell you about focusing. If you focus on something, that's what becomes your reality. And sometimes you have to shift your way of looking at things in order to make it your reality. And as far as being a little bit of afraid of that reality, let me take you someplace in your life where something has happened to you that you didn't have any choice in the matter. One day your life was this way, and the next day your life was this way. And here's the example that I'll use. I've got a couple of them, but here's the example I'm going to use. Having a baby. Now, I know not everybody on here has had children. I know that. But if you haven't had children, the odds are pretty darn good that you've had a fur baby. And this goes for whatever baby you bring into your life. It's kind of terrifying because you think, am I going to be good? Am I going to be good enough to take care of that baby? Now, am I going to be able to give up my precious time where I maybe went someplace whenever, a drop of a hat, and all of a sudden I can't do that anymore because I've got a child, or I've got a dog that I have to be home for, or something that you've got to be home for? Am I going to hear it when it needs to be taken care of? Am I going to notice when it's sick? It's a pretty scary thing when you take something else on in your life like that. Or when you start a new job. That is very scary when you start a new job or you take on a new business. I mean, myself, when we moved to South Carolina, yes, I had done accounting for years, and I got a job doing accounting, but it was with a company that I'd never, ever dealt with before. And I had to learn all their pros and procedures, and I would go home at night, and I would lay there and think, I'll never remember this. I'll never get it. I'm going to fail. And, you know, what's going to happen? I'm terrified to go back in there. What if I can't cut it? What if I can't deliver what I promise? What if I can't do it? And we get so wrapped up in that we can't do it or that we're unqualified. And the truth of the whole truth of the matter is we're scared. It's got nothing to do with experience. It's got everything to do with our determination. Because that's what makes us successful, is our determination. It's not experience. It's not. So just to wrap this up, I'm going to give you 4 things that I know about all of you out there. If I've never met you before or even talked to you online, I'm going to tell you right now, I know this about you. Okay? So listen up. The first thing I know about you is you are smarter than you give yourself credit for. You have proven it time and time and time and over again in your life. Maybe you haven't even noticed it, but you're a whole heck of a lot smarter than you've ever given yourself credit for. The second thing I know about you is that we are drawn to things that we are naturally good at. And let me tell you, that is a whole lot better than any degree that you'll ever get in what you want in your life, okay? And the third thing is, the best teacher in the world is necessity. Without a doubt, necessity is the best teacher. And the fourth and final thing is, passion will trump fear any day of the week. Any day of the week. So on closing, I just want to say, put your BS in that lifeboat and shove your excuses, your BS, your stories, whatever you want to call them, shoot them out away from shore and get your determination on, get your passion going, and you are on the road to success. And we would love to have you come and join us all. And that's about all I've got to say about your own BS, getting rid of your own BS. So I hope in some ways that's really helped you. And moving right along here. Yes, forgot where I was for a moment here. Morgan, can we have you come on board and talk to us about what's your idea of how to get rid of your own BS?
Absolutely. Wow, Nettie, you're on fire. That was awesome. I'm not going to be able to live up to that.
Oh, yeah, you
Thank you very much. I wanted to talk to you guys today about your thoughts. Okay, so everybody knows that your thoughts are, I mean, how do I explain this? Most people know that your thoughts create your reality. If you're watching this hangout and you're on this panel, that's it's a given. It's the law of attraction, and we all sort of understand that. What I really want to say to you today is that you cannot trust your thoughts. You cannot trust your thoughts. And I don't say that to sound strange, like you shouldn't have self-confidence or ability in what you think. What I'm saying is that your thoughts are a result of subconscious programming, which has come about because of the environment that you were raised in, or because of the environment that you're living in now. So your thoughts are not to be trusted, okay? And it is our job, in my opinion, and I'm no metaphysical expert, but it is my opinion that your thoughts are not to be trusted, and you need to filter the appropriate thoughts into your life, okay? So if you imagine your brain and it's just sitting there and all these thoughts are coming in, 24/7, there's all these thoughts, and the thoughts are derived from, as I just said, your programming and your environment, and that's why everybody has different thoughts. Why is it that somebody has such a strong belief about a certain thing and has these thoughts in their mind, and another person has the exact opposite thought? How does that happen? The reason that happens is because that person's been brought up in a certain way and that person's been brought up in a certain way. So if we just start by, hopefully you guys agree with me, just clarifying that thoughts are completely subjective, and they come from your environment and from your your programming. So if you acknowledge that your thoughts can't be trusted because they are from your environment, then we come to a place where we need to realize that your mind is is a very clever tool. Everybody knows it's a clever tool. Basically, your mind loves the comfort zone, and so if you are living, you're living in your comfort zone and your mind's happy, that's where it's the happiest. You know, nothing goes wrong. It's all safe. It's great. It's lovely. But it's when you want to stretch yourself. It's when you want to go after a new goal. Perhaps go on a hangout for the first time, or cut your first video, or speak to somebody you don't know, and that fear starts to creep in. That is when your mind is not to be trusted, because your mind is going to start to set up different thoughts to come in to keep you in that comfort zone. And that's when you've got to be really, really careful about filtering your thoughts. So as long as you can, and this is what I do myself, if I have silly thoughts coming into my head, I can't do it, or I know that person can do it, but I'm in a different situation. That's, to me, that's a bullshit excuse. If you can see somebody else doing it, and you say to yourself, oh, well, yeah, that person can do it because they've got 8 hours a day to spend on their business. I've only got 2 hours a day, so I can't do it. That is a bullshit excuse. Or what's another example? If you're trying to lose weight and you come home after work and you say to yourself, I've eaten healthy all day today, I just want to enjoy my life, and you get a glass of wine and you have a big slice of mud cake. And that's fine. I'm not saying that's not good to do, but if you're trying to lose weight and you're not seeing results, and you do that every single night, and you say to yourself, I just want to enjoy my life. For the whole day I've been eating salad. I just want to enjoy my life. That's a bullshit excuse. There's so many of them out there, and we tell these excuses to ourselves every single hour of the day. You will be so surprised if you start to concentrate on what you're thinking. What's another one? I've written a couple of them down. So, I've had a tough week. So if you say you've got to work on your business for 2 hours a day, say you've made a goal and that's your thing that you're doing, and you work full time, so you come home, and I used to do it, all the time. But when I started this business, I was working as a lawyer. I didn't have my kids, and I'd have to work at night or in the morning before work. So especially on Friday night, I would come home and I would say to myself, oh, it's been a really tough week, I'm just going to have the night off. And that is it's just a bullshit excuse. And you can make these little small excuses for every area of your life. And I'm not trying to say you need to be really, really, really hard on yourself, because that's no fun. There are times when you are going to want to have a Friday night off, but it's when you indulge in these creepy little thoughts that come into your mind that aren't, they're not serving you. Okay, so there's thoughts that serve you, and there's thoughts that don't serve you. And the thoughts that don't serve you, it's not really you. It doesn't have to be you. You don't have to associate yourself with these thoughts. You can just filter them out, and it does take some practice. It's not, you can't just click your hands and they're all going to go away. But obviously, with the positive, leading a positive lifestyle, like personal development and things like that, you're slowly going to start to filter out those thoughts. Okay, so I just want to share a little story with you, just as an example. I've got a friend, and she's not watching this webinar, so I don't feel bad, and I don't think she will watch it, so I don't feel bad about sharing it, and I'm not going to say her name. She's about, how old is she? She's about 32, and she's single, and she really wants a partner. All of our friends have got married, or have got babies, and she really, really wants to get married and have children, as you do when you're that age. And she told me that she wants to, which is good, but the things that she says are bullshit excuses. And I mean, I'm not going to talk about how to attract a man in this webinar or anything like that, but she'll say things like, we'll be out, this happened about 2 days ago, we were out driving in a car, and it was on Sunday, and she said, she's like, look at all the couples, look at all the people driving around all by themselves. Couples don't even spend time together on Sundays, so it doesn't really matter. I'm not missing out. Couples don't even hang out on Sundays anymore. And I was like, well, that might be right. That might be right, but you're just trying to convince yourself that you don't need a partner because you're too scared to put yourself out there. And then she'd say something like, you know, what if I got a partner and it was Saturday night and, you know, I wanted to go out and have a good time and he just wanted to stay on the couch. You know, that would be a real drag. That would be, you know, I wouldn't really want to be tied down like that. And I'm listening to it and I'm thinking, well, you know, that's a bullshit excuse, because if you don't want a partner and you want to be free, that's totally cool. That's fine. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you want somebody and you are making these excuses. Your thoughts, you're indulging your thoughts. Basically, you've got these thoughts come into your mind, and instead of just not discussing them and just letting them go, you're actually indulging in your thoughts, which is creating your life. And you're trying to make yourself feel better because you haven't got what you want. And I've just used this as an example because it's come into my life, but it's the same with anything. You know, anything in your life, your mind is going to try and justify to you why what you're doing is right. And it doesn't necessarily mean what you're doing is wrong, but if you've got a goal in mind and you're working towards that goal and your thoughts are not supporting that goal, you have to get rid of them. You have to figure out a way to figure out which thoughts they are, you know, why they're coming into your mind, and you have to stop them, because, you know, thoughts control your actions, and that's the next step down. So your programming controls your thoughts control your actions. And this girl with, you know, the man situation, if she's constantly telling herself, well, I don't want to spend my Saturday night with a guy or whatever, her actions are going to be that way, because she's not going to be open to receiving, you know, meeting someone. And it's the same in any area of your life. So I'm just going to wrap it up by basically saying, outline what your goal is. What is your goal? What do you want out of life? Just pick one goal. And when you're working towards that goal, if thoughts come into your mind that do not serve and support that goal, don't think to yourself, this is me. Because your thoughts are not you. Your thoughts are not you. Your thoughts come from your programming, and you can get rid of your thoughts. They are not you. So do not attach yourself to your thoughts. That's probably the biggest thing I've learned. And, you know, when I was pregnant with my twins, I had really, really bad morning sickness for 6 months, and it was absolutely horrible. And I actually didn't do this business for 6 months. I got in before I got pregnant, and I worked away at it for a little bit, which was great. But when I started having my morning sickness, I couldn't do it. And this probably isn't the best example, because I actually probably couldn't have actually done anything differently. But, you know, I justified to myself why I didn't do anything for 6 months. I could have sat on the couch with my laptop and done one status update on Facebook or placed one Facebook ad. It wouldn't have been that difficult. I was still working. But, you know, I justified to myself why I couldn't work for 6 whole months, because I was too sick. You know, I just, and that's just an example. It's probably an extreme example, because at the time I was pretty sick. But, you know, your mind is always making you feel better. And as soon as you can learn to stop your mind making you feel better, you're going to just get way, way more results. And I've learned this over the last few years. So I hope that's helped you guys, and I'm going to leave it there. There we go, Nettie.
Thanks, dear. That was awesome. Yeah, it is amazing what thoughts can do to our life. And our thoughts are always just that, thoughts. I mean, they're not, how can I explain this the way you did? Because in the reverse, very positive thoughts can also bring into, we can manifest positive thoughts into our life, and we can bring abundance by thinking positive thoughts. But when you dwell on the negative, oh my gosh, it's a Debbie Downer all the way around. So yeah, and I do have one more thing to say. Like, if I ate salad all day, the last thing I would want to eat is mud pie, because I don't know. It sounds like a dirty old dish to me. I don't know. It's just, anyway. It must be some kind of a kiwi dessert. Now we do.
Oh, it's just heavy chocolate cake, mud cake, heavy chocolate cake.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay. Well, we do have Mississippi mud pie over here, but it's not just mud pie. So, but well done. Yeah, that was really awesome. I loved the way how you showed us what thoughts can do to you, and they're bullshit excuses. Absolutely. So, Kristen, hey, would you like to take it away and tell us what your thoughts are about the BS in the world?
I would love to, but first I have to say that it's hilarious to me how somebody can say something and you have two completely different interpretations of it. Because when she said mud cake, is that what you said? All I could think of is like a dark chocolate cake with like ooey gooey frosting and I was like, really, Morgan? I just ate salad all day today, and I wasn't even thinking about chocolate until you brought that up. So, but that's okay, because I will listen to your advice and I won't go there. All right, so bullshit and excuses. I think, my opinion, is that I think you guys are going to hate me after I tell you my viewpoints on this. I think it all stems from fear, all of it. All of your excuses, all of that bullshit that goes on in your head where you say you can't do something, that you're not ready, blah, 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 blah. It all stems from fear. So for my little portion tonight, I want to talk about fear. So the first bubble I'm going to burst for you is to tell you that you are not special. You are very special. But when it comes to your fears, you are not special. We all have fears. But there's two different types of people. There's going to be those that live in their fear and they let their fear control what they will or will not do in their life. Or you have the people who will face their fears, get over it, and move on in life. So for example, today I went on Craigslist and I sold some furniture. Now, I'm not a fearful person. But I do watch Criminal Minds once in a while in my past before, we were told to give up TV. And so, every now and then, before I gave up watching the news, you hear stories, and here in New York, we had the Craigslist killer, blah, 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 blah. So anyways, it's always good to be cautious. So what does a caution person do? Well, when someone wanted to buy my furniture, well, I Facebooked her name to make sure she looked decent before I would say, yeah, you can come while I'm at the house alone, because otherwise I would have waited for someone else to be here with me. But what was funny about it is she came to the house, and the first thing she tells me is she's like, oh my gosh, when you called me, I was so happy that you were a female, because she goes, for as much as I love Craigslist, I'm just always afraid to go to random people's houses by myself. So here we are, two people with the same exact, not fear, I wasn't afraid, but these same thoughts of what could happen, the what ifs. So you're not special when it comes to your fears. So don't think that you're alone. Don't think that you are, one of a kind and you should be able to get away with your bullshit excuses because you're one of a kind. You're not. We all have them. So get that out of your head now. And now I want to dive into 3 different levels of fear. The first thing I'll recommend for tonight is the book Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers. This is one of the very first books I ever read, 3 years ago, because that's really the first time I ever picked up a book that was personal development. But she goes through, in the very first chapter, it's a tremendous book, she explains that there's 3 levels of fear. The first level is basically just your surface story, your surface fears. For example, she breaks them down into those that happen, just naturally happen, and those that require action. So for example, some fears would be aging, becoming disabled, natural disasters, dying, change, or illness. Those that require action, such as making decisions, going back to school, losing weight, or even driving, which sounds like a crazy fear to me, but there's a lot of people with a fear of driving. So those are your level 1 fears. Your level 2 fears are more of your inner, like what's going on in your head, like what's on in the inside going on. And that's the fear of rejection, fear of success, fear of failure. Isn't that crazy that we can have fear of success and fear of failure at the very same time? But fear of being vulnerable. But here's the kicker, okay? Number 3, the level 3 fear, when you really break down all of them, is the fear that I can't handle it. You have a fear that whatever happens in your life, you're not going to be able to handle it. For example, you're probably saying to yourself, well, I can't handle the thought of dying. I can't handle the thought of getting sick. I can't handle this. I can't handle that. I can't handle it. So here's where the bubble bursts again. The only way to overcome fear and get rid of your excuses is to come to the realization that you can handle it. And the only way to realize that and to get to that conclusion is to face your fears and do it anyway, as this book suggests. So she says, at the bottom of every one of your fears is simply the fear that you can't handle whatever life may bring you. So the solution is, if you knew you could handle anything that came your way, what could you possibly have to fear? There is nothing to fear if you know for a fact that you can handle anything that comes into your life. And I actually want you to think about some things in your life that happened. I mean, I know in my past, I would think of worst case scenarios and be like, oh my gosh, if this happened, I don't know how I could face that. And then it happened. And then I was like, crap. I honestly felt like our life was over. I felt like everything was over. And now I look back and I'm like, oh, actually, that was kind of easy. That was kind of simple to go through. And we all have that in our life. At the moment we think, oh my gosh, I can't handle it. But when you actually are forced to face it, you're like, oh, that was really easy. For example, the boot camp that many of us are involved in, so many people were like, I can't do videos. I'm too afraid. Can't do them. Can't do them. Can't do them. Well, now 8 days later, when they were finally forced to do them, they're like, oh, I mean, me included. I'm speaking for myself, too, on this. Oh, this is easy. This is simple. I can handle this. So it really comes down to just coming to the conclusion that no matter what life throws your way, you can handle it. There was something else I was going to say about that, but I'm going to move on. The 5 truths about fear. I'm just going to read this to you because I don't want to get it wrong. She breaks down in this book the 5 truths about fear. Number 1, this is where you guys aren't going to like me because it kind of sucks that you have to do this. But it's always worth it because, like Nettie mentioned, your freedom and everything you want in life is on the other side of all of this. Number 1, the fear will never go away as long as I continue to grow. That means, okay, so you were afraid to do videos and now you're over that. Guess what? Now you have to blog. Guess what? Now you have to send out emails. Guess what? Now you have to actually grow a team. Next you have to actually put on a boot camp for your people. So the moment you overcome one fear, another one just will creep up. But what you're doing is you are actually training your muscle. Somebody had this in their video today, training your muscle in your brain to actually be able to see, oh, I handled this last thing, so now I can handle the next thing. Number 2, the only way to get rid of the fear and of doing something is to go out and do it. Number 3, the only way to feel better about myself is to go out and do it. Number 4, not only am I going to experience fear whenever I'm on an unfamiliar territory, but so is everyone else. Number 5, pushing through fear is less frightening than living with the underlying fear that comes from a feeling of helplessness. When you can train yourself to overcome the fears and overcome the excuses that are caused by these fears, that's when freedom happens. And it's not about the money or the weight loss or anything like that, but it's what's going on inside of you. It's what happens when you have that, just the weight that just is lifted off of your shoulders. You know, I've been reading this book. You guys are going to get sick of hearing this, The Power of Intention by Dr. Wayne Dyer, but I have been on a complete high this past week from this book because it's one of those books that I struggled to read. And now all of a sudden I'm reading it and I'm like, oh my gosh, this book is incredible. Why did I ever have issues with it? And he talks about a lot about just being on the side of intention, living on the side of infinity, living on the side of living it with a higher energy frequency. And that's living with the feeling, the energy of love, kindness, peace, rather than anger, frustration, fear, anxiety. And that's where fear comes from. Fear comes from those low energies that literally just keep you bogged down. And this is all where excuses come from. So I am going to conclude with, I'm surrounded by books, by my 3rd book that I want to share a little portion from, and that's The 50th Law by 50 Cent. This book was recommended by Tracy Walker many years ago, well, 2 years ago, many years. 3 years is a long time for me. And this book is incredible. It was actually something that I would not have expected at all, but the very first chapter, again, they speak about fear. So this quote here, again, I'm just going to read it, is by Miles, I don't know why I cannot say that, Miles Davis, and it's kind of long, so bear with me. The very first thing I remember in my early childhood is a flame, a blue flame, jumping off a gas stove somebody lit. I was 3 years old. I felt fear, real fear, for the first time in my life, but I remember it also like some kind of adventure, some kind of weird joy too. I guess that experience took me someplace in my head I hadn't been before, to some frontier at the edge maybe, of everything possible. The fear I had was almost like an invitation, a challenge to go forward into something I knew nothing about, That's where I think my personal philosophy of life started. With that moment in my mind, I've always believed and thought since then that my motion had to be forward, away from the heat of that flame. Face your fears. Just do it. Because adventure and everything that you want from life is on the other side of it. And then reframe that fear in your mind, and instead of dreading it, instead of running from it, acknowledge the fact that on the other side of it is something great. So learn to run towards your fears. Learn to run in that direction, because if you run in the direction of your fears, well, other than unless you're afraid of like getting hit by a car, don't run in that direction. But all your other fears, run in that direction, because that fear is telling you that you are exactly where you're supposed to be. So that is my conclusion for tonight. Back to you, Nettie.
Oh my gosh, that was excellent, Kristen. You really brought it. And yeah, fear plays the most biggest part in our success. It just does, and people will call it every other bullshit excuse, but 9 times out of 10, 9.5 times it comes down to fear. We're scared, we're afraid, and yeah, to get over it. And that's the beauty of what we've got going on here tonight. If you were ever to enter into our business, I mean, what a team. Hold hands and hug, and let's get this person that is frightened through it. And you see that in your a video challenge that you're in. You know, you've got a mentor saying do this, along with how many others that are doing it. It's fantastic help to get over your fears. So with that, I'm going to move on to Zen and see what she's got going on tonight.
Can you hear me? Yeah? Okay, great.
Yeah.
Wow, there's so much that came out about subconscious mind here, and I have a bunch of notes, and I just wanted to address a few of them first before I move on to what I was going to talk about, which falls right in line with the whole subconscious mind, because many of you probably know that I'm a part-time hypnotherapist. I only take 2 or 3 people a week now because I dedicate all my time to online marketing, but I still love a certain niche. And I'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute, because, you know, I had a client that, well, I'll tell you the story in a second. First, I wanted to talk about fear of success and fear of failure, because it's like any other fear. And the interesting thing, and Morgan touched on it, but your thoughts are not to be trusted. And the interesting thing is that that is true, because your inner self is not those thoughts that are kicking out there. Those are your subconscious mind throws out thoughts, and your conscious mind thinks it's running the show, but it's not. It's these subconscious things that are, you know, they're basically from 0 to 8 years old. They're things that you take in, and you have no filter. So you're just taking all these things in. And so, you know, they're known associations. So there's some positives and some negatives in there. And rearranging them, you know, some of us grew up with, you know, the old adage is, you know, money doesn't grow on trees, life is a struggle. I mean, you name it. And I hear it in my practice all the time. And with stress over money, over not having enough time, over not enough focus or concentration. And the fear of success is very similar to the fear of failure. Fear of failure, as Kristen mentioned, you know, it's just the idea of I can't handle it. And the truth is once you're in it, whatever it is, you can handle it. Especially if you're busy training your mind to see the good and or the beauty in everything, because there's a reason why things stack up in life. And you can say there's a reason for everything, but actually sometimes things happen and they come in and we handle it and we move past it in whatever manner that we do in that moment based on where we're at in life and our growth process, our own evolution process. But when it comes to fear of success, well, let me just run this by you, because I've been working with one man on this. And the truth is that when you change from making, let's say, 10 grand a month to making 50 grand a month to making more, you know, 100,000 a month, life changes. And you change, because your growth and your income usually travel almost at the same level. You have to have some personal growth in order to handle those changes and take on those shifts that are occurring in your mind, because obviously you're filtering thoughts and emotions pretty quickly through your mind to get through to the positive ones that are taking you to this elevated place. Now, what comes with that is that there are going to be certain shifts in certain relationships that are close to you in life, and that can be very scary for some people, that maybe their people aren't on board with these changes that I'm going through. And I'm not referring to, you make 50 grand a month and all of a sudden you act like a materialistic a-hole. I mean, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about the shifts personally that are elevating, the positive parts that get to that place. And maybe you want to start a charity foundation. Maybe you want to move to, go traveling more or do some different things. And maybe your partner or your peeps just aren't feeling it. And so there are shifts that cause these fears of success also. But that's part of your path, and that's part of, you have to handle that by thinking more positive thoughts and helping your peeps to elevate themselves to keep pace. And the truth is that everybody has their own path to be on. So things that shift for you are going to, the dynamic is that things are going to shift in the relationship category. It's just the way that it works. The one thing that, and I just found a picture, I was going to post it maybe on Instagram and maybe on Facebook soon, but it was just a big neon sign, and I love neon art, so I was looking, scanning for neon art for whatever my reasons were, and it was just a big what if. And I looked at it and I went, yeah, what if everything worked out? What if whatever it is you're fearing fell to the wayside the second you took action? What if it all turned out just perfect? What if? And so, that just led me to a place of, why is it that our subconscious minds, and I know because I've studied this, it served us in prehistoric times. We needed to be aware of the negatives of life. There could be a saber-toothed tiger that'll take us down, but it doesn't really serve us in modern life anymore. And so these negative thoughts that come in that give us the what if, that kind of, eat away and give us, fear thoughts instead of, what if everything worked out cool? What if I took that action and it actually worked really well? What if I stepped up and everything worked out awesome? What if? And now I was going to tell you a story about, I'm going to tell you two quick stories, but one of them is about a client of mine. And this is going to, you know what? We were talking about getting your BS out of the way. Well, I have a 8-week weight loss jumpstart program that I run. And I always take the checks and I save it until week 6, because there are inevitably people that get there. And listen, if I can hypnotize you to lose weight without it being a collaborative effect, I would be a billionaire. So it's a collaborative deal, and they are my most challenging clients, because the first thing that I do is ask them to go home and do that I love you exercise. And their willingness or their resistance to doing that is my first key to how I'm going to have session 2, because this is a walkthrough. It's not start eating less and working out more. That's oversimplification of what's going on. So when somebody's willing to habituate I love you and their name in the mirror every day without hesitation, I know they're ready. They're so ready, and it's going to be easy and collaborative. It's when people put up excuses, and I don't care what they are. I don't have time. My kids are always around. But it's a 5-minute maneuver. Shut your bathroom door, go in there, look yourself deeply in the eyes, and say, I love you in your first name 3 times. This is less than 5 minutes. So when I hear that resistance and the inability to do that, I know, number 1, they're not ready, and number 2, they're not habituated. And then on week 4, and this is what happened with this client, because I said to her, listen, I want to give you your check back, because this is collaborative, and I'm not feeling it that you want this. Everything I've asked you to do to date, you just simply either don't do or you don't want to do, and I can feel your resistance. And I can only do so much through hypnosis with you. So it's kind of a, do you want this, and how bad? And I want you to think about it, and I want you to call me, because I'll give you back your check. It's no offense intended, but I want to work with you when you're ready. because until you're ready, nothing's going to happen. And until you're ready to step off and take any excuse off the plate and do it, it's not going to happen. It's all about taking action and taking any of those thoughts that I can't handle it right off the table. And I'm going to share that with you because this exercise is incredibly powerful. And when I hear, when I've posted it on Facebook a few times, I've written it in a blog post a few times, and I even made a hypnosis video that I sent out to my list of hypnosis clients. And when I hear the collective groan, or that, oh, that's trite, that's been done before, Louise Hayes does something like that, you say great things about yourself. You know what? When I hear that, those are the parties that need it most. Because if somebody, the first time I heard it, I looked at this person, it was my hypnotherapy mentor, and I looked at her and I said, that's brilliant. I'm going to go home and do that. I love that idea. And she said, you know what? You already got it. And I said, no, I don't. And she goes, yeah, you do. Because you're going to watch in your practice, offer it up to people and see the reaction. And she was right. Because my own willingness to do it was key to me loving me. And nobody can do anything until they actually start with the self and self-acceptance. Because when a rotten thought comes through my mind, I can't even tell you. It's almost funny because I see it, I feel it, and I go, okay, you know what? Ciao. Thanks for stopping by. And I just carry on. So now I want to tell you another short story because my reluctance with doing videos, actually, and I've been doing them and actually having fun with it, is I didn't want anybody to see me. It's like, ooh, what if I'm out and somebody overhears me? What if somebody actually sees me? Ooh, so what? So I made a video, and I was right at an intersection today, and many people stopped at this red light. Many people drove by, but the view behind me was just awesome. So I stood there in the middle of the street, and it was a quiet street on the part that I was at, and I just shot videos. And then I said, well, but this isn't Starbucks. I even said that right into the video camera, and then I went, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go down to Starbucks. And I went down to Starbucks, and I didn't go in Starbucks and make my video. Okay, I'm not that bold. But I stood right out in front of it, and I made a video. And guess what? Nothing happened. Everything was cool. I got my video done, and it was great. So whatever little fear that was going through my mind, because I'm not exempt from the things I talk about. I may be a hypnotherapist. That doesn't make me perfect. Whatever my fear was, fear of being overheard, fear of being judged for making a video, a selfie video, whatever it was that was going on, has disappeared. And I found that really interesting that, suddenly I just didn't care, because it might be one person asking me, why are you making a video, that maybe wants to be a part of what I'm doing. Maybe wants to hear about a company where they can be out in the middle of the afternoon making videos instead of sitting at a desk. And so really it comes down to, are you going to step up and take those thoughts that come through your head and just let them filter through, and just as Kristen said, those 5 things, the growth is always going to come with an element of fear. That's just how it is. But the other 3 things I heard from her were just do it, do it, do it, and, do it. So I'm going to end it right there and hand it back to Nettie. Thanks for listening.
That was a killer, Zen. Thank you so much. I watched your video, actually, where you were standing at the corner, and that was really cool because, I think we all do that. We see somebody coming down the street if we happen to be outside and go, oh, I'll just wait till these people go by or whatever. And, kudos to Erica because she just gets in the park and does it, and people all over. Of course, in all fairness, they don't understand one word she's saying because she's speaking English. But, that's not what it's about. It's about the fact that she gets looks and stares, and we all do when we do these things. But who cares? We're given a message. Our video is, if we help one person with our video, hasn't it been worth it? It's just been amazing. So anyways, thank you for adding to this tonight. And Erica, take it away, and let's hear what you've got to say.
It's funny. I just have to follow on from Zen's story because it's just so hilarious, about worrying about people, looking at you. If you see my videos, I get the weirdest stares all the time. Like people, they huh? What are you doing? And the way I reframe that is when I look at a reporter on the street who's, she's got the microphone in her hand, she's got television cameras all around, and there's, passers-by coming down the street. My thought is, wow, look at her. She's got the coolest job ever. She is so important. And she must be talking about something really magical. And I have these amazing thoughts about her standing on a street corner with a microphone talking. So when I'm cutting my videos, I imagine that everyone thinks, wow, look at her. She must be so important. She's got a really important message to share. So I reframe that. I reframe how they are looking at me and what they're thinking of me. So it's just one thing I want to share with you guys. I had no intention of speaking about that at all, but since the video thing came up, I thought it was really important to share that. Reframe what you think they think of you. And if you watch me in my videos, I get the weirdest stares, and all I do is smile back at them. Just a big smile, like, you're the weird one, not me. And then I carry on my videos. Videos are really, really important, guys. So what did I want to talk about? The very first event I went to, a really powerful speaker got up on the stage, and I'd never heard this expression before. And he said, "You are where you are because of your best thinking." I'd never heard it said quite like that. And I don't know why, but every time you get to an event, there's going to be one expression, one phrase, one snippet of a conversation that just smacks you right between the eyes and pushes you to the next level. And that was the sentence for me. You are where you are because of your best thinking. Your best thinking got you to where you are right now. So I went back home. I thought, how can I think differently about everything? And I had been making so many excuses about why I couldn't build this business. I had made an excuse. Oh, I can't build it because I'm from New Zealand. I can't build it because I've got a funny accent. Oh, I can't build it because of X, Y, Z. I made all these excuses of why I couldn't do something and get to a certain level. And when I heard that one sentence from stage, I turned all of my negatives into positives. I can build this business because I'm from New Zealand. I can build this business because I've got a funny accent. I can. And this is what I really want to get through to you tonight, is this concept of reframing. Every negative thought you have, just flip it. Just flip it right on its head. And here's something that I discovered really early on about fear. I believe that fear is actually excitement. You know how sometimes you get this, and yes, of course, if a saber-toothed tiger is chasing you, then chances are you can be very afraid and run like hell. However, as we mentioned, we don't have those in this day and age, right? Sometimes we feel fear like butterflies in our tummy, and I always tell people, turn that around. Those are butterflies of excitement. Something amazing is about to happen, right? Reframe. Take your focus from there and turn it there, and you'll be amazed how instantly what you thought was fear is actually your excitement of moving into the unknown, because amazing things are just out there. And you've heard this expression a million times. Everything you want lies right outside your comfort zone, okay? Embrace the fact that you're always going to be uncomfortable. How awesome is that? You're always going to be alive. Your skin's going to be jumping with excitement all the time. It never stops, okay? And that's what being alive is all about. It's about doing the stuff that gets you just a little uncomfortable, but makes you feel so good once you've done it. So good. And I'm so glad that Kristen brought up that stuff about the, the videos that, I've been making people do. In the beginning, a lot of people were really, really nervous, like they're about to puke that first day of the boot camp. And I'm like, just get it done. And these same people at the end of 7 days are like, oh man, this is so much fun, All they had to do was reframe it, like, this is fun, this is okay. And I watch them now, and they're just so casual and relaxed in front of the camera, sharing their message to one person. That's what I tell everyone to do. And if you've got this fear of video making, just talk to one person you really care about. Your voice means something. It matters, okay? And like I said, on a video the other day, no one can say what you want to say the way you can say it in a way that someone specifically needs to hear it. No one. It's your kind of duty to turn on the camera, all right? So enough camera talk. This is a very powerful mantra I've used my entire life, and you've probably heard me speak about it many times. Possible in the world, possible for me. It's just a question of how, okay? When you see someone else out there with the results that you want, and you have some fear kind of like holding you back from going that way, going that path, just look at the person as the results that you want and know that because they did it, you can too. And that will move you past the fear, the sense of knowing, okay, possible in the world, possible for me. It's just a question of how. That gets rid of all of the excuses. You can't have any bullshit excuses if you believe in that mantra. If someone else has done it, you can too. There's no excuse. There's no excuse when you believe in that mantra. And this is one of my favorite quotes. It's from Mario Andretti. He's a very famous ex-Formula One driver. And someone asked him, when you're racing and you're going so fast, aren't you afraid that you might hit the wall? And he said, I don't look at the wall. He said, don't look at the wall. What am I reading here? The car goes where your eyes go, okay? So if you don't look at the wall, you can't hit it, right? Look in the direction of where you want to go. And I always remember when I heard that quote, I'm like, man, that's so true, because so many of us, right, we think of all the bad stuff that could happen. That's the wall, right? But if we just turn our gaze just a few degrees this way, wow, look at all the possibilities out there. Do you know what I mean? Don't look there, look there. Everything you want is out there, okay? So don't look at the wall. That would be my final closing thought. And yeah, just reframe everything. Anytime a bullshit excuse comes up for you, flip it. Flip it. You can control that. It's a choice. You make the choice of how you express yourself. You make the choice to choose these thoughts, which is really powerful because it means you can choose to think the complete opposite of the negative stuff. You know what I mean? So that's it for me, darlings. Just ladies, thank you so much for bringing it tonight. Man, that was just awesome. I sat here just learning so much, and I love getting up at these hours to listen to you guys. You just start my week off beautifully. So thank you so much, and to all our viewers tonight, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thanks, Missy. And yes, you brought it tonight too. Include yourself in that, because I love that what you said about just don't look at the wall. I love that, because that is that is something you learn in any sport. You don't look down at what you're doing. You always look ahead, and that's what makes the winner come out of it. Like, you know, it's amazing how that works. So I want to thank everybody for all the wisdom, the motivation, the inspiration that they brought to this hangout tonight. And I want to thank all of you out there for coming. I would be shocked if you didn't pick up something out of this tonight. I mean, we laid it all out there. And trust me, every single one of us have had that numerous bullshit. I've had bushels of them. But, you know, you've got to look at the end goal and your why and your determination. I can't do it because I'm scared. We're all there. It's fear, like we said, and we are here to help you get past that. There are so many things we can advise you to do and tell you to do and help you to do. It's just what this team's all about. Don't ever think that not a one of us, if somebody told me a year ago, I would, no way would I be doing that. But here we are. And Morgan and Zen and Kristen and Erica are with us. We all thought the same thing. So I want to encourage you to go after your thoughts, go after your dreams. Don't let your crazy bullshit excuses stop you, because they're never going to go away. That dream is never, it's not going to take a holiday and leave you alone. It's going to be there. And as a matter of fact, the older you get, the stronger you get about it. And you can tend to get more regretful, which is another bullshit excuse. So don't allow that to happen. If you're looking for a team, you're looking for a tribe, you're looking for a business, I'm going to encourage you to click that link below, get started. Or get back to any one of these girls that invited you here. If you can hit us up on Facebook, we're all on Facebook. But don't let your fear stop you from your freedom. Do not let that happen, because we want you to get it just like we've all got it. It's amazing. It's the best feeling in the world. So click that link below, get started. Don't let any frightening thoughts stop you. And we're going to be here to welcome you aboard. So take care. We'll see you all next week, same time, same place, different topic. And thanks so much for coming. We love you all that you give up your hour to join us. So take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye now.